Hello, let's do Wordle for Thursday, August 20th. Yesterday we spun the wheel. It said to start with Jazzy. All right, so we learned something interesting about Z, which is that not only is there not one Z, there's also not two Z's. So sorry, pizza lovers, it is not pizza today. We do end in Y, which is already trappy. Common letters, S, T, R, L, P. What should I do here? My initial thought is if there's like a PR word. I don't know. Doesn't really seem like a thing. I could do, well, I can't do stray because there's no A. I'd like to get a P if I can, but I don't know if I can. There's like lumpy. I don't really, oh, how about lusty? That's the usty trap, isn't it? There's rusty. So there's rusty, there's dusty. I think fusty is a word. Gusty definitely is. Lusty, busty. Oh boy. So we shouldn't go right into. So if I were to guess an usty word right now, and it was the answer, then I would be doing one letter at a time, and there's more than 5 of them. So that's a bad idea. So there's a lot of traps like that, unfortunately. But what we could do is try to target like the common starting letters that are going to be in traps like that, if we can. So we said like rusty, dusty, lusty. I don't know if lusty seems like it should be a word. Busty, musty. If we get some of these, I'm just looking at these letters trying to figure out how I can rearrange them to make a word here. Like lumpy is, honestly, lumpy might not be a bad idea. Now that the M actually seems like it could be useful. All right, I'm going to go with lumpy. I don't know if that's the best one to go with. All right, so it is U second, which is not necessarily a good thing, but because now we get 3 letters per, and we have to use this M somewhere. Is it an MU something? I mean, it could be musty, actually. It could be mushy. It could be musty. It could be mushy. Not monkey. Monkey is spelled with an O. Muddy. So, I mean, this is still pretty trappy, but because there's both lusty, sorry, not lusty, musty and mushy, it might be a good idea to go one of these two. So let's do that, musty. All right, so there's still muddy, there's murky, there's muggy. It's muggy outside. These have no overlap, by the way. And I'm in hard mode, so I'm not going to be able to do just a pure filler of 5 letters. If I could do a pure filler of 5 new letters, like I'd be in no trouble at all. But that's not my situation. That's why I try my best to avoid these traps, but there's so many. Like the fact that it ends in Y and I got nothing for my starting word has already put me way behind. So I said murky, I said muddy, I said muggy. What else? I'm looking to see if there's any with overlaps because that's the best one to guess. I don't think there's anything with like EY here, IY, OY. I don't think we have another vowel, is what I'm trying to say. Are there any other double letters? Oh, there's mucky. Is mucky a word? Like, it's very mucky in here. There's a lot of muck. I don't know. So how do I write these down? Let's see. We've got murky, murky and mucky. So why don't I guess murky? Oh, okay, that's lucky. That's very lucky. I was getting a little concerned. So you kind of just have to get lucky in those cases. But I do think murky, if mucky is a word, which I'm not sure yet, we'll see in the analysis, then I think murky was a good way to go because I wasn't going to guess mucky if I thought maybe it's not a word. But guessing murky does cover mucky in case it is. All right. Well, that's lucky. All right. Let's spin the wheel and see what tomorrow's starting word will be. Okay. Waqfs. suggested by Neely Scat. I'm sure I pronounced that right. Kneeless cat. Kneeless cat. Neely Scat. Yes. Kneeless cat. A cat without knees. Waxfs. It's just one of those weird words. It's. I know it. I don't know what it means, but I know of the word because it's used in the typical 5-word start, where you can start with 5 words that cover 25 letters. It can lose on anagrams, so it's not a good idea, but it's an interesting thing regardless. All right, well, let's do some analysis here. I'm very curious. So the answer was murky. Shout out to League of Legends. Jazzy was our starting guess. So it was possible to not lose here. It suggests glory. Interesting. So get the GLR. Kind of like that. Baldy also works. Not quite as good. I did lumpy. Ooh, lumpy might lose on kissy, willy, silly, nobly, custy. Okay. Look at all these traps just ending in Y. That's why in Don't Wordle, when the answer ends in Y, you're just like, oh, I'm good. I can just win right away. From here, it suggests musky. Ooh, I didn't think of musky. I did musty, which is on the list and actually doesn't lose, thankfully. So getting that M was actually lucky. And so let's just look what the words left. Let's see what I analyzed. So mucky, I did think of and is on the answer list. Muddy, muggy, murky was the answer. Mushy, musky, and musty. Okay. So I think I covered most of those, except maybe I just didn't catch musky, did I? No, I did I thought of musty, but not musky, right? Okay. So I guessed musty. And then from here, there were 4 words left: mucky, muddy, muggy, and murky. I think I thought of all of those. And that's why I went with murky. And it's equal with mucky in this case. But it was lucky. But that was the best guess. So I analyzed that correctly. That's great. If I'd gone mucky instead, it would be only murky from there. So that would have been fine as well. Muddy and muggy are just like, oh, back to the drawing board. And then from here, going muggy is a bad idea because now you're down to a 50-50 of mucky murky. So it's good to think about which ones overlap and go for those first. That was the strategy. It would go glory. From glory, we go nerdy. There's 19 words left. And from nerdy, we're down to curvy and murky. So it could be a 4 or 5. All right. It starts with least. All gray, so we go crump, and that's going to be the same for stale and steel and salier and all those. All right. Crump, R-U and M are all yellow. We have 4 words left: forum, humor, murky, and rumor. It says to humor or rumor. See how they get each other? They're very similar words. So we can't tell the difference between these two if we guess forum or murky. You might say, well, forum and murky have R in them. They would tell you humor versus rumor. The problem is that the R will be yellow regardless. The R will be yellow for humor and the R will be yellow for rumor. So it doesn't tell you the difference. It doesn't tell you that we start with R. The only way to tell if you could start with R is to start with R. All right. And so we do something like humor and then murky. That's a 4. Don't need to do steel. A dew. We have the U. We go spurt. Get the SPRT. Good stuff. After spurt, there are 15 words left. We're going to go burly. There's burly and curly, so they get each other. There's a bunch of URs. Juror, forum, curvy. All right, burly, and then curvy, murky. So these are 50-50, so it's a 4 or 5. Audio. With that green U, we've seen this before, we go gulps. And then burnt. Get those consonants, because, that's what we need. And then cure, texting for ER. And then murky. So it's all greens, but it's a 5. Stare, another very, very common word, starting word. With the yellow R, we check R second with grind. It is not second because it's in the middle. We're going to do curly and then murky. So down to 4. Pert has the highest chance to get a 2. We're 1 in 124, so we're not going to do that. We're going to skip the non-answers because we are trying to get it in 2, and we're going to go for grind. And that is not the answer, unfortunately. Then we just happen to go curly here, which gets us murky right away. But it's tied with stuff like lurch, curvy. So if we did lurch, then we're down to 3 words. We do furor or juror, and then murky. Okay. So it really depends on luck there. And then tarps is what the official bot starts with. We just have that R in the middle. There's only 65 words left. We're going to go quarter. I remember when that was the answer. We could get murky in 3, but it's a 1 in 5. Otherwise, we're guaranteeing a 4. All right. Well, let's check to see how people are doing today. It is pretty trappy, so I'm expecting a little bit of a lower solve rate, but we'll see. Murky. All right. And did I beat the bot? Give me 85 skill, 68 luck. Yeah, I did get lucky. Oh, the average is 4.2. That seems pretty high. Jazzy has a skill of 0. Most people did story as the follow-up. Story, stony, slimy. I'm not the only one who did lumpy. Picky, lousy, melty, money, misty. So I completely understand going for story, stony. You're just going for the common letters, which probably works out fine. But always good to think about the traps and what you might actually get trapped into, and see if you can anticipate what are the letters that are going to be most important for the nastiest traps that I might end up in. And you may or may not make the right decision there. Lousy did the best today at 2.3, but look at all these averages are very high compared to usual. Stony did a 2.7. Lumpy was 3.0. All right. And then Musty. Musty and Muddy were both very popular here. All right. And then it would have guessed Murky. Yeah, Murky or Mucky. Okay. So it went Tarps, Mary, Murky. Very lucky to get that M there. That's a different follow-up than the other bot. 0.3, starting with Murky. 1.4, 17.6, 54.4, 83.7, 96.9. Yeah, so we do have a bit of a suppressed solve rate. Not too bad, though. People losing on Curvy, Murray, Furry, Hurry, Mucky, Mummy, Burly, Furzy. Yikes. Perpy. Okay, Muffy, Muggy. Let's refresh and check regular mode. If I can get it to load. Okay. Any day now. Sorry. It won't. My Explorer's crashing. Okay, there we go. I know exactly why it happens. I have an external hard drive, and when the hard drive has to spin up, my Explorer waits for it. All right. Very annoying. So what do people do? Story, slimy, money, stony, pesty, stroy, bully, sorry, peons. I'm the only one who did lumpy in regular mode. Well, I didn't do regular mode at all, so no one did lumpy in regular mode. Slate, crony, harem, murky. So harem is a filler. That's what I'm talking about. Where it wanted to test more consonants over just going right into words ending in Y. Okay. Murky is a 0.5, 1.5, 13.4, 47.5, 78.3 is very low, 94.5. Nice jump there. People losing on the similar words. All right. Well, how'd you do?